5 signs you could have a sleeping disorder from health.com. What to look for. Everyone has difficulty sleeping now and again, but if your lack of shut-eye is an ongoing problem, you may need help to get a good night's rest. Pay attention to these warning signs as they could mean you're struggling with a sleep disorder. 1. You're still tired. The problem. You sleep for 8 hours and still wake up groggy and unrefreshed. During a normal sleep cycle, the body alternates between deep and light sleep that should leave you feeling awake and alert. If you're still sleepy after a full night in bed, chances are something is happening to prevent your body and brain from entering those deep, restorative levels of sleep. 2. You snore. The problem. Your partner says you snore or stop breathing in bed. Snoring may be harmless, but it could also be a warning sign for sleep apnea, a condition in which your airways become obstructed and you stop breathing in your sleep. 3. You sleep during the day. The problem. You nod off during everyday activities like reading or driving. It's normal to be tired after a night of tossing and turning, but when you start to experience excessive daytime sleepiness, falling asleep at work or behind the wheel, for example, it's time to consider whether you're getting enough sleep and whether you might have a sleep disorder. 4. It's been a long, tired road. The problem. You've had trouble falling asleep or staying asleep for at least a month. It may seem obvious, but people suffering from insomnia may assume they're meant to be that way, or the problem will go away on its own. 5. Sleep isn't the only issue. The problem. You suffer from another chronic health condition or experience mysterious symptoms that keep you awake. It makes sense that people dealing with other health issues such as depression, illness, or chronic pain would have a harder time sleeping peacefully. Some conditions, such as restless leg syndrome, exhibit their worst symptoms at night. Well, we deal with this a lot at You Evolve Buffalo, especially in terms of when it comes to weight loss and performance in the gym. Sleep is absolutely a huge factor that goes overlooked. And even when brought to people's attention most time, I fear that they don't take it seriously enough. And as the article stated, a lot of times people get used to bad sleep cycles, bad sleep patterns, lack of sleep, continue to just deal with it on a daily basis, perform suboptimally, continue to struggle with their body composition goals, and chalk it all up to normalcy. And it really doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way. And I know addressing it can be difficult. And the difficulty in addressing it is the consistency in which you address it. So some of the low-hanging fruit that most people can go for to try and fix right away is, number 1, caffeine. We've definitely become a society that is caffeine driven. Coffee is a massive crutch, including my own. I'm not judging, I'm not pointing fingers. I use a lot of coffee to fuel my mornings, to fuel my workouts, to get me over the hump on certain days when it's just a very, very long day and I need to make that last push, those last training sessions at the end of a long day. Yes, I absolutely use caffeine often as a crutch. Do I experience the negative effects on sleep? Absolutely. All the time? Not necessarily. I try to be conscious of it, cut it off at a certain time, but on certain days, I definitely lean on it, and I pay the price. I'm aware of it. I do my best to manage it, and I know that if I used it less, I would probably sleep and perform better without it. In those instances. Another low-hanging fruit that most people can try to grab right away is the reliance on cell phones, devices, television, etc., that they're on incessantly at night the constant scrolling, the mindless, going through the feeds, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be, or even things like Netflix, binge watching, texting, whatever. There's so many different applications out there now. I constantly suggest try to shut your devices off at least an hour before bedtime so you can start to unwind the brain. Try reading from a physical book instead of a tablet. Use meditation, anything to get away, to let your brain wind down and get away from the devices. To me, this is the number one factor. It's just, I find myself oftentimes getting into a YouTube rabbit hole too late at night, just wanting to watch that one last video, get that one last podcast in. This can be a real problem. People not using alarm clocks anymore, relying on their cell phone as an alarm clock. Yes, I'm guilty as charged. I do use my phone as an alarm clock, but you have to have some form of control to cut the usage of the phone off. If you can't, then I absolutely suggest getting that alarm clock and getting the phone out of the room. Using it as for email and a work tool. Yes, it's a great tool for work. Yes, I use it all the time for work. Do I put limitations? Absolutely. I get no notifications sent to my phone through social media. If I get any email messages, I do not get them binged to my phone. If I want to check my messages, I have to physically go into my email, physically go into the social media app and check the messages. I keep my ringer off at all times for text messages and phone calls. No ringer. Although my phone would be going off all day long. If I didn't have those things put in place, I use my phone for music at the grotto when we train. You wouldn't hear any music. All you would hear would be notifications and alarm bells going off. So even at night, I get no notifications ever. I make sure that I check my messages, I check my voicemail, I check my emails on my time at my discretion, not at every waking minute when somebody wants to fire off a message. So that's why I don't mind. I don't care if people send messages at any time of day because I'm not going to get them until I decide to check them. And when I check them is usually very, very early in the morning. I try to check them one more time later in the day to make sure that I try to wrap everybody up that has questions. But if I don't get to it, it's nothing that can't wait another 8 hours until I get a good night's rest and check it in the morning. This is about implementing boundaries. Many people have a hard time implementing social boundaries to begin with, but then with these intrusive devices, all boundaries go out the window. And not only do people feel that they should be able to get in touch with people at an instant, but they expect instant responses. And that's why I don't get any notifications. I don't get any ringers. It's about implementing boundaries. And that's all people need that for social health, mental health, and physical health. For all things You Evolve Buffalo, visit our website, www.youevolvebuffalo.com, to find out more about our latest programs, personal training, group training, online training, or our powerlifting group, the Heavy Metal Club. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and feel free to contact us via email, youevolvebuffalo@gmail.com. If you enjoyed the article and the commentary, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.